You could see it in his energy. You could see it in his swagger. He was right with the world, it seemed.
He knew it was setting up to be a tremendous day for him personally and for him professionally.
Dale told me before the 500, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
You'll see something you probably had never seen on Fox.
What I thought was the greatest day ever was heading in a direction that would make it the worst day ever.
It was a bad day.
It was a day that I hope I never have to live again.
The rising sun shall surely set on days of triumph and tragedy alike. The 2001 NASCAR season dawned like every other, under the Florida sun, where the sport's biggest race of the year was also its first, the Daytona 500. If Daytona was NASCAR's seat of power, one man sat at the head of the table, Dale Earnhardt.
Take him to Daytona and let him go on those big banks. He was just magical, the stuff he would do.
Dale had a knack for Daytona that nobody else had. The way he could maneuver, he knew what he wanted to do with a race car, he knew where he could put it.
People used to say he could see the air, and Dale would debate you with that. He said, I can't see it, but I can hear it and I can feel it. He had an open face helmet for that reason.
To run Daytona and run Daytona really well, you have to have no fear. You just have to be willing to keep your foot in the gas, and you really got to manhandle that car. That's when Dale was at his best.
Earnhardt, Daytona. Two words combined to tell a Shakespearean tragedy of sport. Earnhardt won every race there was to win at Daytona, but not the 500. Never the 500. 20 years under an unjust sun.
He was frustrated that his career would be measured by somehow there'd be an asterisk next to his career that he never won the Daytona 500, no matter how many championships or how many races he won.
At long last, Dale's day in the sun arrived.
Check your finger, buddy. Come on around here, buddy.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
All right. Yes, guys, yes, yes. You're the greatest, buddy. You're the greatest.
You think about moments, and I still can see all those people lining up down the pit lane. Everybody knew what it meant to him, and they honored him that day.
Everyone knew that it took 20 years of hell. So when he did triumph, it was a weight lifted.
It was like there was a 12-year-old kid there. You know, that's what he sounded like. He was just so happy and so relieved and able to just celebrate this great event that he had been talked about not winning for so long. It was a big deal.
That trophy right there, my name's on it now. They can't take it off. My car's going in Daytona, USA. I don't care. I love it. I want it to be there. I took me a little spin in the grass so I get the good out of it.
You could see it in his face. You could see it in his demeanor. It meant everything to him that everyone said it was supposed to mean. From that moment on, he was right with the world, it seemed.
Dale told me in 2001 when we were sitting doing an interview, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. How do you feel about Dale Earnhardt?
A lot better.
I've known you
a lot
for
better
so long.
today than I did several years ago. because of family, because of my life, because I think I'm a better person than I used to be. I got it all right now, Darrell. I got it all.
No, you really do.
I'm a lucky man. I have it all.
Like to be crossing that line first
and then spin around in the infield.
Spin around the infield.
And then go to victory lane.
Then go to victory lane, which is where I'll do the interviews.
Oh, you gonna be here?
Yeah. What do you mean about me? Fox brought their A-team in here, babe.
2001 was the start of a new era in NASCAR. For new broadcast partner Fox Sports, Dale Earnhardt was the key to success. Just as Dale's key to success was Richard Childress, his car owner and closest friend.
We had a whole lot in common. We raced our way up, we worked our way up to what we got. Nothing was ever given to either one of us. We had a bond and a trust in each other that I think that most men do not have.
After several injury-plagued seasons, Dale was finally healthy and a favorite to win his record 8th season title.
What people don't remember is Dale raced for about a year with a broken neck. He had crashed at Atlanta early in the season, and it cracked a vertebrae in his neck. And because they said the surgery was risky, he didn't want to do it.
His right hand would go to sleep in the car, and I guess that was from pinching nerves, but he would drive with one hand and leave the other one over there on the bar.
What people didn't know is after he finished the race, we'd basically have to help him take his uniform off. I mean, he would unzip it, but we'd have to pull it off of his shoulders and get it down to that point.
He did not get that surgery done until the season was over. And what they did was when they opened him up, there was a sliver of bone that had been chipped off that was wedged into his nerves. So he dealt with that for 8 months.
He told me once Dr. Branch fixed his neck, he said, "I'm a new man." In 2000, we came back. I think we finished second in the points, only lost it by a few. And all we could talk about that winter between 2000 and 2001, I felt that we were as prepared to win the championship in 2001 as any year that we had ever been.
That Dale Earnhardt Jr. was ready to challenge Dale Sr. for the title was all according to plan. His son drove for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, the team his father had built with a focus on the future.
I don't think he did that just because he wanted to build something for Dale Earnhardt Jr. But I do think his belief in Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s talent had a lot to do with it.
He's led 209 laps, and the Intimidator's son is the dominator today.
I ain't seen you in a while. Hey, Superman. Good job, man.
And I remember Dale coming to me and he said, "I'm the envy of all the dads in the garage." And he just thought that was the coolest thing.
And Dale Jr. won his first Cup race in Texas. And part of my responsibilities was being in charge of Victory Lane. So, of course, I'm very excited. I have the Budweiser towel and the hat, and I'm ready to run up to the car. And this giant hand grabs me and essentially throws me to the ground. So on national television, there's this red blur and Big E going right past and getting in the car. Of course, that was cool.
And now here's the big man himself, Dale Sr.
The picture of him squeezing his neck at the All-Star race is a dear picture to me because he just really loved the fact that his boy could do the same things that he could do on the racetrack.
DEI was founded on family and friends, with 3 teams starting the Daytona 500. Dale Jr., Steve Park, and Michael Waltrip, a journeyman who'd never won a race in his 16-year career. Now, NASCAR's premier event would be his first race driving for his longtime friend.
Just coming to my mom's house to see Mom the day after my dad died. My phone rang and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm over here with Mom, just hanging out. He said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And he hadn't mentioned coming or anything, but he wanted to come and hold my mom's hand, you know, and just say, you had a special husband, you know. He raised these 2 boys, and these guys are a big part of my life. And so I think that meant the world to Mom, and I think it showed a lot of people in my world that he was a special person.
Maybe Earnhardt saw a friend who needed a helping hand. Or maybe he saw something in Waltrip that others did not.
Michael Waltrip.
Scraping along the wall.
Got to pin it right up against the wall.
He hit awful hard.
You know, I had started my engine 462 times and hadn't ever been able to win a race.
That is Michael Waltrip, out of control, try over.
Time was ticking. Time was running out for me to be able to get a top ride.
When Dale put Michael in the Napa car, and everybody said, have you lost your mind? He's driven 400-some races and had never won a race. Why did you pick him?
Dale always knew in his heart that Michael could drive, and he always felt like he just needed an opportunity.
That opportunity was at hand. With well wishes and good luck kisses lingering in the gasoline-scented air, engines were ready to start NASCAR's most important day.
You're watching Fox Sports, home to the World Series, Super Bowl 36, and now the 43rd running of the great American race, the Daytona 500.
It's like you get the NFL contract and your very first game is the Super Bowl.
Hi everyone, Mike Joy with the 1989 winner of this race, Darrell Waltrip, after 17 years of trying, and Larry McReynolds, who's been to victory lane in the 500 twice as a crew chief. Gentlemen,
I firmly believe with us going on the Fox network and with the amount of promotion we had done, that we were going to get a very broad audience. So that's why we spent so much time with the camera angles, why we spent so much time with the audio, so much time with the graphics, so that when the big audience was watching, they went, oh, I get it. It's not just a bunch of rednecks running around a track. This is really exciting. And I kept hearing in my head Bill France Jr. saying to me, you've got to stress this is a sport. And so we had to lay out this wonderful picture about why everyone had fallen in love with the sport, and why they'd fallen in love with the sport were these daring young men who were going to risk everything for glory.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Rolling thunder rose to life as NASCAR machines rolled off the starting grid. The day's events had been put into motion.
Dale Earnhardt is the most prolific restrictor plate driver in NASCAR history. 11 wins and only 52 plate starts. Today chasing his 35th total victory here in Daytona.
The plan was simple. He said, me and you and Dale Jr. are going to work together and win this race. Thought sounds great, but it doesn't sound very realistic. There's 40 other cars that are going to try to be messing that whole plan up.
At Daytona, you can plan who you want to run with and who you want to draft with, and then they wave the flag.
this vehicle is in. The 43rd annual Daytona 500 is set to get underway. Terry Bradshaw waves the green flag. We're racing.
When the race started, my car wasn't exactly right. It was loose, and so I needed to work on it.
Look at Mikey. He's got a handful. That's what we call a handful. When you get the wheel pulled way around there like that, he's got a handful of steering wheel.
I can't help but notice the front of the roof here on Earnhardt's car. It's like it's buffeting. It's because Rusty Wallace, the car in front of him, with that roof flap across the roof, or that roof fin, it's putting dirty air, and it's making the air on Earnhardt's car mad. It don't know what to do.
Here comes Earnhardt down the inside.
Under Marlin, 3 wide through the tri-oval, and he almost took the nose off Marlin's car coming back up.
I believe Schrader led that lap.
He did.
Good man, Schrader.
The first 150, 70 laps, basically, I saw them, but we really there's too many cars. We never could really get together and team up.
Look at Earnhardt.
Right down to the apron to take the lead.
With Jeff Gordon pushing him in the 24 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the red car, the 8 car pushing with him.
Dale and Dale Jr. got to the front in a hurry, and I kind of rode in the middle of the pack for longer than I wanted to. Then the crew made some adjustments and made my car right. I could drive the heck out of it.
There's Michael Waltrip up the middle.
Hey, we hadn't talked about Uncle Mike all day, and there he is. Come on, buddy. Give me a chance to talk about you.
There's one time during the course of the race that all 4 of us were running 1, 2, 3, 4. Me, Dale Jr., Steve Park, and Dale.
Pretty impressive. All 3 of them DEI cars up there in the lead.
I've been in so many things in the last 25 laps. I wasn't thinking until the last couple laps and see what happens. You just try to position yourself up there where you're in that group and try to be able to make something happen, or if something happens, you can capitalize on it.
It's the big one. It's what we've all been fearing. This kind of racing is going to happen.
A horrible crash on the back straightaway that began when Tony Stewart got turned sideways against the backstretch wall number 20.
You know, it just seemed like the lid was about to bubble off of this pot here, and it just seemed like with that event, we thought maybe eliminated enough cars to make it come down to where we knew who we needed to race and how we were going to be able to accomplish this.
A lot of good cars got taken out in that big crash. And so when the cars are stopped on the racetrack over on the back straightaway, not only are we catching our breath, but so are those guys. And at the same time, they're strategizing.
We pulled to a stop on the front straightaway, and I'll be darned. I looked in my mirror, and I was leading the race. Dale and Dale Jr. were right behind me. And I thought about his plan, you know. I know he's a great race car driver and a champion, but this is crazy what he called out.
Junior was sort of philosophic. It was kind of strange because he got on the radio and told the crew, he says, no matter what else happens, he says, let's be thankful, because he said, we've had a great week, we've had a great race, and we're so lucky that we missed that crash.
I remember him coming on there, and I can't remember if it's before or as soon as the wreck happened or during the red flag, but he said, Richard, if they don't do something to these cars, it's going to end up killing somebody. It kind of always sticks. That's one of the things I can remember, and I don't remember at what point he said that, but it was after Tony's wreck.
The 2001 Daytona 500 had already revealed the brutal nature of the day's close-quarter bumper-to-bumper banging and bumping. In the final laps, Dale Earnhardt would battle not for victory, but to protect his team.
Green flag.
There's one point during the race after the red flag where I felt like he let me in line. And I remember thinking, that's never happened before. I know he's never let me in line. I don't think he's ever let anyone in line.
You got to have nerves of steel, folks, to see what these guys saw just now. These cars all flipping and flying through the air and hop right back out there just like it never happened.
I was leading the race. My car was handling perfectly. Dale Jr. was pretty safe as well because he had Dale behind him, and Dale was just pushing Dale Jr. and me. So us two had it made, basically, and Dale was in a mess.
Whoa! Look at Earnhardt. Sterling got into Earnhardt.
Dale is doing everything he can to keep Sterling behind him because Dale knows that Sterling's got a fast car.
You never saw Dale Earnhardt Sr. do anything but drive offensively. But in the closing laps of that 500, we saw him on defense. You know he wanted to win another 500, but I think he was going to be perfectly content running third that day.
This is when we're going to find out. We're coming around for the white flag.
And I thought, if this motor doesn't blow up and the tires don't blow out, I'm going to go down there and make 2 lefts, and I'm going to come back and win the Daytona 500.
Make that back straightaway wide, buddy. Get all over the place. Come on, man. Come on now. Watch the mirror. Watch it. He's going to make a run inside.
I kept trying to tell Dale Jr., just stay on Michael. Sterling started coming, 36 started coming, and all of a sudden there was a lot of activity around Dale for 3rd place.
Got him, boy. 3 wide behind them. You got him, Mikey. You got him, man. You got him. Come on, man.
Last lap at Daytona. Everybody's arguing over space, trying to get your nose in there. If you get your nose in there, maybe you can make the rest of it fit. All of a sudden, I saw his car cut left, and I said, this can't be good.
Come on, get him in the 4. Get him in the 3 cars out. Oh, big trouble. Big wreck behind them.
Beat him back. Come on.
To the flag.
Come on, Mikey. You got it, man. You got it. You got it. You got it.
You got it. Michael Waltrip wins.
Oh, man. All right. It's a television dream come true.
And he's about to get the best ride in racing. Man. To Daytona 500 Victory Lane. Darrell, is this better than winning it?
Oh, it's better. This is great. I hope Dale was okay. I guess he's all right, isn't he?
Our car came to a rest. I'm thinking, wow. I said, I'm going to go over and just shoot the bull with Dale. Mikey and Junior run 1-2. He got crashed protecting 3rd on the last lap, so he's not going to be in the best mood, but he's not going to be that friggin' mad. So when I went up to the car and took the window net down, I knew he was in trouble. I mean, I knew right away he was in trouble, and I signaled for the emergency crews to get there like quicker. And they were there quick, but just quicker yet. And I just knew he was in trouble.
I remember when I seen the wreck happen, I just jumped down off the toolbox, yanked my headset off because I knew we had a good shot at winning, and put my headset back on and hollered at Dale. I said, Dale, you all right? You all right, Dale? 2 or 3 times. He never did answer me. So I turned over to Mike Skinner's channel and I said, Mike, stop over there. They'd done took the checker by that time and was headed down the backstretch. I said, stop there and make sure Dale's okay. Make sure it just didn't undo his helmet and got out. Let me know if he's out of the car or whatever. Skinner come on there. He said, you better go to the infield care center. He said, boy, he doesn't look good.
We just kept waiting. Come on, climb out. Come on, help him out of the car. Come on, get him out of the car. He's got to go to victory lane. You got to get him out.
Junior got out, and again, I don't know quite his thoughts at that point, but his thought was, we're going to go to the medical center, the care center in the infield, and see Dad. Junior went in, and he went through and just caught Kenny Schrader's eye just for a split second, and he said it was really then that he knew that something was seriously wrong.
I go to the bus, I get Teresa, Jimbo, the bus driver's with us, and that's when they just got the new infield care center, and we went into there. Not really thinking, anything. We get there and they're taking him straight to the hospital. So now we're getting antsy. Okay, something's up.
Richard came in the infield care center, and you're sitting in there, and you got the little curtains and stuff, and Richard room's curtains. What's the deal? I probably turned white. And he said, "How is he?" I said, "I ain't good." And he said, "You mean like we're gonna be out for a while?" I said, "Oh no, buddy. You know, we got bigger problems."
Kenny wasn't himself. You know, he was just as pale as he could be, and he said, took a few deep breaths, and he said, "Look, I'm not a doctor." They had released him from the care center. He said, "I'm telling you, it don't look good. It don't look good." And at that point, my heart just fell. And so Judy and I got in the car and headed to the hospital.
We get in a car and get a police escort to the hospital. We're going back roads around the turns.
I said a lot of prayers on the way to the hospital. That's all I can say.
While we're dealing with that, somebody's won the race and he's going to victory lane.
Started celebrating what I thought was the greatest day ever in the history of NASCAR, and especially in my history. I mean, it was perfect. Everything went just like Dale said it would, and I couldn't wait to see him.
Michael Waltrip drove to the winner's circle to celebrate victory in the 2001 Daytona 500. How could he have known that the seminal moment of his career would be forever shrouded in tragedy?
It was amazing. People that didn't know me a month before, now we're all standing in victory lane celebrating winning the greatest race in the world. Everything was just so cool, and it remained that way for probably 20, 30 minutes.
We kept watching on the camera, and this looked bad. And you can tell by the people around the car, even though it was in a long shot. Then the ambulance came up, and then Dale was taken out and placed in the ambulance. And then we watched the ambulance going to the hospital. And the ambulance was traveling virtually at walking pace, which meant either a broken back or death.
Okay, another subject. Michael Waltrip finally gets his first win after all these tries. Any reaction?
Very happy for him. I just wish he could enjoy it a little more because his boss was not there to help him.
Okay, we just got worked up. They had trouble with riding Dale.
While Earnhardt's driver Michael Waltrip celebrates, Dale Earnhardt rides the back of an ambulance to the Halifax Medical Center.
The last thing you want to do is overstate the drama of the situation, and yet you don't want to understate the possibility that things could go really bad.
I was in victory lane, and everybody, obviously, it was a lot of celebration, a lot of happy people, and everybody seems to be just overly elated, and Michael's got the trophies, and Michael's being Michael. What was beginning to be more and more odd is no Earnhardt was there.
And I remember thinking, where's Dale? I mean, how come he's not here yet? And Dale Jr., how come he's not here? I'm sure they're coming, right?
John Graham, who is the president of the racetrack, came over and he said, "Hey, who's going to accept the owner's trophy?" And I said, "Well, Dale will be here any minute. Just Dale or Teresa, or one of these, somebody will take the trophy." And he says, "No, this is Dale's. They're taking Dale over to the hospital." So for the owner's trophy, John basically did the victory lane interview with me, and then he had me stand in the pictures. As soon as we got done with that first photo, I looked over and Ken Schrader walked into victory lane.
Mikey, he just won Daytona 500. And what a big deal. That was such an important moment for him. I love Mikey like a brother, and I wanted to tell him what I thought the deal was.
He made fun of me all the time, you know, about not winning, and finally there's somebody I know coming to say congratulations. I saw him and I said, "Can you believe it, Schrader? I won the Daytona 500." And he just grabbed me and said, "It's not good." And I was like, "Well, it's not really that bad that I won the Daytona 500, is it?"
I just told Mikey that, you know, that I was awful happy for him and stuff. But no, listen, Mike, we got a big problem here. I'm extremely worried about Dale. I remember him looking at me, you know, and it's just like it didn't register because, you know, he waiting for Dale to come in.
And so that pretty much told me that, you know, the celebration was over. You know, what I thought was the greatest day ever was heading in a direction that would make it the worst day ever.
By then, I don't know what to do. I'm wanting to go to Victory Circle, but I don't know if I should. And we're on a quick off. The race went long because of the red flag, and we were at the top of the hour, and so we couldn't stay and give a report about it. Nobody knew anything. Everybody was real hush-hush about it, and nobody was telling us anything, so we had to go off the air.
Well, thanks, John. We all knew Michael Waltrip had a fast car here in Speed Weeks.
I tried to get both Larry and Darrell to concentrate on the win, on victory lane, on analyzing the race and what had happened, while I tried to piece together all the information we had so that we didn't say the wrong thing, but we also didn't go away leaving people to think that everything was all right.
We're jubilant for the Waltrips, and our prayers are with the Earnhardt family. John?
Well, I was going to go to Victory Circle, but my friend Andy Kesposito, he's a deputy sheriff. He was going to take me down through the crowd to get to Victory Circle. So when I take off the headset and I turn around, he's standing at the top of the stairs shaking his head. And Big Andy's wife she worked at the Halifax Hospital in the emergency room. She had called him and told him to get DW and get down here because Dale didn't survive.
Daytona had reached the crossroads. One road led to victory lane. The other carried a life in the balance. The sport's biggest day had become a cacophony of celebration and sorrow.
I didn't know what to do. You know, even to this day, I don't know why I went to the hospital. I really don't. Family, NASCAR, you know, although everybody that needed to be there was there.
We're just in the emergency room. We're inside, and it's not a waiting room outside. We are like inside. We're not in front of Dale. They got Dale screened off and everything. So, but we just know it's not pretty.
I can't remember everyone that was in the room, but whoever came in, I think it was a doctor, came in and said we lost Dale.
I have his son standing next to me. There's nobody in this room. So I'd take care of him.
And we just all sit there and not knowing what to expect next. And I remember some of us just had our heads down, and it was a bad day.
I go into the room where all the team members are at. And I remember just looking at all of their faces and just this junk. So that's kind of where we all were.
I believe I thought about Michael when I left the hospital. I thought, oh my gosh, wonder if he knows, wonder what he's doing.
Buffy was dealing with it all. You know, Buffy was talking to NASCAR and talking to the family, and so she was doing a job, an admirable job of making sure none of that got to me. Then we got in the van together, and it was the first time I'd been alone with her, and she said, Dale's dead. I started wondering how I was supposed to feel at that moment, and I haven't stopped wondering since.
One NASCAR officials who I knew what the deal was. I asked them when people were starting to leave and stuff, and I said, hey, is it official? Well, we ain't got an official word. And I never cuss anybody, but I said, listen, you blankly blank, tell me what the deal is. I was just down there, and so then they told me.
Even before the announcement, I believe that it started to filter through that it was a possibility. At that point, I remember Mike Helton coming into the media center and standing up there at that podium and saying those words that are now etched in our brains forever.
This is undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements that I've ever personally had to make. But after the accident in turn 4 at the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
Those words were impossible. I remember walking out in the garage and crew guys and people that had been in the sport forever hugging and sobbing. It was the most surreal scene because people were basically walking around in a daze. It couldn't happen to him.
You know, it had to be close to 2 hours after the race when we finally made it to the motorhome,
and I think I asked him, I said, you want me to come over? You want to come over here? And he said, no, I just want to be alone. Because that was hard for him. Because Dale had, done, that win meant so much, and to have it, and to not be able to share that with Dale, who gave him the chance, and to first win of his career, Daytona, and he's sitting in his motorhome crying.
And Michael said, "This is supposed to be the greatest day of my life, and it's my worst." And all I could say through being choked up, and all I said is, Dale knew. Dale knew you won that race. That's all you can say. So.
All night Sunday night, I never slept, trying to figure out how this could happen, why it happened, what was next. We lost what I would call our franchise of RCR. I lost a very, very close friend that hurt worse than anything. And lost my hunting buddy.
And once again, to update you on our top story this evening, the death of NASCAR legend and giant Dale Earnhardt. At 49, he has died as a result of injury sustained in a crash on the last lap of the Daytona 500 at the Daytona International Speedway.
I remember pulling into DEI after we got Dale home and just seeing the hundreds and hundreds of people that were there, and the candles and the "We Miss Yous" and all of their tributes.
I remember looking at me and saying, if it ever happens to me, you better go to race.
We asked all the employees, if you want to go home and be with your families, go. And I can't recall one person leaving. Their way of overcoming it was to start worrying about Rockingham.
I'd like to ask you to do something. I'd like to ask you to take the hand by the person beside you. Lord, our hearts are hurting. We've lost a great friend, and it all seems so unfair. People ask us, how can we go out and race today? We can do that, first of all, because we know that's what Dale would want us to do. And second of all, because, Lord, we know without a doubt that he is dwelling in your house and will forevermore. Amen.
1 week after a sport's darkest hour, DEI driver Steve Park rose to the moment.
Here they're going to come to the line. It's going to be a photo finish.
Park has the run off the high side. He clears the body, and Steve Park scores the second straight win for Earnhardt Incorporated.
Boy, and that team, they needed that.
It brought tears in my eyes. I don't know what to say. Dale's the one who taught me how to drive this place, and he told me to stay off the brakes, and we stayed off the brakes and won the race.
2 weeks later, Richard Childress, rookie Kevin Harvick, Dale's crew, and a renumbered 3 car delivered their eulogy.
Gordon's going to make the big move on the inside when they get down here to turn 3. Here he comes. He's going to drive it to the bottom.
Oh, Harvick's leaving a lot of bottom of him.
Just like a year ago, he's going to get him, though. He's going to get him. Gordon got loose. It's Harvick. Harvick by inches. Harvick by inches. Harvick by inches.
When NASCAR returned to Daytona, a son carried a message to his father. And perhaps a father carried his son.
Here they come. Turn 4. Final lap. Michael Waltrip in second, but it's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
I just was so happy I could push him home. Made the night complete, made it perfect. And then to be able to stand on the car and listen to over 100,000 people screaming, it was amazing. I remember thinking, I'm better now. It'll be fine now. You know, this is redemption.
If you watch how each one of those wins were, it was almost like it was meant to be that was healing for us all. And know how proud Dale would have been of every one of us.